For some of you, this video is going to be one of the most difficult ones you actually hear from me. What? Stay with me because you might not want to hear this. And I want you to consider that if you end up feeling that way, that you're exactly the person that most needs to hear this. Okay, here it goes. The one thing standing between you and $1 million business is feeling like you have to do it all yourself. I know, I tried. It doesn't work, right? I know if you're listening to this, you might have probably already tried this yourself. Well, the truth is you can't do it alone. In hindsight, right? The funny thing about becoming a self-made millionaire is that none of us ended up doing it ourselves. Why do they call it a self-made millionaire? We've had a team or support, and usually lots of support, right? So how does that land for you? Like, check in. Does it scare you? Does it irritate you? Does it intimidate you? Or maybe for you, it finally gives you hope. Yes, because I know if you are a diehard do-it-yourselfer, it's going to feel like a tough pill to swallow. Why? I want you to consider because you've internalized in some way that asking for help is wrong, that it's being vulnerable, and that could be perceived as that you're being weak. And for how many of you have you prided yourself in, I have to do it all myself, right? It's got to be done perfectly. I have to look perfectly while I do it. I got to make it look like it was no effort at all. And then I got to work really hard. And somehow, if I don't work really hard, then I don't deserve it, because it can feel like if I'm not working really hard, then somehow I'm selling out. Maybe you've had that one. Or because maybe for you, you've been wearing your 80-hour work weeks as a badge of honor, believing that all of this, no matter what it is that you've believed, you've convinced yourself that no one can do it as good as you can do it. Been there. Or no one cares as much as you care. Now, I know you really care. But how do I know all of this? Because I was you. This is exactly what I used to believe. And it's exactly what used to keep me stuck, stopped, and struggling for a long time. Somehow, I used to feel that if I did all of this, then I would be valuable. But not only was that not sustainable, but it leads to exhaustion. It's exhausting, right? And of course, eventually burnout. So it never feels fulfilling, and you really don't ever really enjoy your life. And what's the point of this for, after all? So I know that if you're a go-getter or a type A personality, asking for help is the last thing you're going to want me to tell you that is in the way of your $1 million. It feels like a sign of weakness, and weakness can feel like death to us. Consider, you cannot become a millionaire without being courageous. And to be courageous means you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And to be vulnerable means that you're going to feel uncertain. You're not on exactly how everything's going to turn out. To be vulnerable, you're going to feel like it's unfamiliar to you, maybe even risky. To be vulnerable means you're going to feel like you're somehow exposing yourself emotionally. And here is the irony of all of this. It's really your inability to be vulnerable that actually makes you weak. What? Yes, that is what I uncovered for myself. And I want to save you the time. The truth is, these feelings of being vulnerable come from our earliest childhood. It's what I call our original core trauma. And you're going to see and hear more about this on other videos. But what an original core trauma is it comes from a moment, an experience when you were really, really young, where something happened to you that shocked you, blindsided you. It was so traumatic for you that you didn't even think you were capable of surviving the emotions you were feeling. And when you didn't know how to process what you were feeling, you internalized it to mean in some way that there must be something wrong with you. And we internalized that to mean in our own way that we were weak. And we vowed to ourselves that we would never let this happen to us again. We would never let ourselves be vulnerable ever again. And so we built these walls around ourselves, not to let anyone in. And we developed a false self, or our ego, not realizing that the walls that we built to protect ourselves would actually become one of our greatest limitations, our glass ceilings, not only for ourselves, but our businesses. In my direct experience, this is one of the major reasons why there are only 2% female entrepreneurs that ever hit 7 figures. And we're about to change that. It's because we don't feel safe asking for the support we most need. And we think we have to do it all ourselves, because most females and some men rarely think they can ask for anything, ask for what they truly desire, let alone think they can actually delegate some responsibility to others. This is one of the most fundamental skills that we must develop to achieve $1 million business. And so here are the key points. To become a millionaire, you're going to have to be willing to be vulnerable. You're going to have to ask a lot of the time. You're going to be asking. You want to get in the habit of that. And so let this serve as your key checklist. First, decide that you're willing to suck. I'm willing to suck first before I'm going to get great at it. Meaning your willingness to suck first and allow the feeling of feeling uncertain is your path forward to achieving what you want. The second thing, decide you're capable before you know how it's all going to turn out. This means that you being vulnerable, it will feel unfamiliar, but unfamiliar does not mean that you're incapable. Remember that. All right, number 3, decide you're going to give yourself permission to ask for what you want. Meaning anytime you feel like you have to do it all, I want you to stop and develop one habit of asking yourself, who could I outsource this to? No longer waiting for you to have things get bad enough to give yourselves the permission to allow yourself to have it. Number 4, decide to keep things simple. You are going to make it so simple, meaning anytime you're going to do something more than once, what I want you to do is ask yourself, how can I automate this? How can I systematize that? Or how can I put it into a repeatable, duplicatable process? Number 5, decide who could actually guide me on this? Who has been there before and actually already has what I want? I'm going to use their mistakes, right? So that I can actually not have to make them, saving me so much time, money, and energy. This is the way you actually allow yourself to move faster forward. By you getting in the habit of asking for what you want, allowing your life and results to be easy. Feel that. It's because you're remembering the truth is you're not going to do it alone. And that being vulnerable takes courage, which will become your greatest strength, as vulnerability is your real power. If this resonates with you and you want to get there sooner, then click the link in the description above, grab my best-selling book, or for even faster results, join us live in our next intensive, where I'm going to personally support you by shortcutting your results even faster.